5. Surprising reasons. Why many older people struggle to live past 80, quiet factors that shorten life. Why do so many people start to fade after 80? Even those who were sharp and doing just fine a few years earlier often begin to decline. Most folks assume that what happens after 80 is all about genetics or just plain luck. But the truth is, that's only part of the story. In this video, we're diving into 5 surprising reasons, things most people never talk about, that help explain why aging past 80 is such a challenge. And no, we're not talking about the usual stuff like diet, smoking, or exercise. These are deeper, quieter forces that can sneak up on you, even if you've done everything else right. The best part? Once you understand them, you can do something about them. So if you've ever wondered what really gets in the way of staying sharp, healthy, and alive past 80, stick around. These 5 insights might just change how you age. While there's still time, let's get into it. Reason number 1, the loss of everyday social moments. One of the most overlooked reasons older adults struggle after 80 is the quiet disappearance of what experts call micro-social engagement. Now, we're not talking about deep heart-to-hearts or big family dinners. Of course, those matter. But this is about the small stuff, the casual, easy moments of connection that used to fill your day without you even noticing. Like saying hi to the mailman, cracking a joke with the cashier, waving to your neighbor across the street. Those tiny exchanges weren't just pleasant, they were helping regulate your nervous system, keeping your brain socially tuned, and reminding your body that it's still part of the world. But after 80, many people stop going out as much. They order things online. They ask others to run errands. They stop chatting with strangers. Maybe their hearing isn't great, or their balance is off, or the weather's just too cold. And when those little moments start disappearing, something else starts to fade too. Vitality. Here's the thing. Most people don't even notice it's happening. They think they're just simplifying life. But what they're really doing is removing the low-key social fuel that keeps the mind alert, the mood stable, and the body tuned in. I've seen men in their 80s stay sharp just because they walked to the same cafe every morning, said hi to the same staff, and nodded to the same 3 people at the corner. That 5-minute stretch of human contact? It wasn't just a routine. It was a lifeline. It gave their day shape. It kept them accountable. It reminded them they still mattered. When that kind of connection fades, there's a cost. The brain treats even subtle loneliness like stress. It shifts hormone levels, increases inflammation, and weakens immunity. Worse, it starts shrinking the parts of the brain that control memory, focus, and emotional balance. In simple terms, it ages you faster. So if you found yourself talking to fewer people each day, skipping small errands, avoiding casual conversation, or feeling invisible in your own neighborhood, it might be time to change that. Because those small moments, the ones that seem forgettable, they're quietly telling your brain and body, you're still here, you still count, you're still part of life. And that message, it's one of the most powerful medicines for not just staying alive, but feeling alive. Reason 2, becoming too careful for your own good. It often starts small. You stop going for walks when it's cold. You avoid bending to grab something from a low shelf. You hesitate to climb into the backseat of a car. You sit more and stay sitting longer. People around you say, oh, don't push it. Take it easy. And before you even realize it, you've built a life that feels safe. But still, here's the problem no one talks about. When movement stops, strength doesn't just pause, it fades. And not just in your arms or legs. You lose coordination, balance, that inner sense of stability. Your body isn't like a machine that works better when it rests. It's more like a garden. It needs constant tending. And when movement slows to a trickle, your body starts to weaken. One of the first places this shows up is your core. Those deep muscles in your trunk that help you do everything. Stand up, walk, lift, even just get out of a chair. If those muscles go unused for even a few weeks, they shrink. And once they shrink, your balance gets worse. You start to wobble, and the cycle just keeps going. I once knew a man named Walter. He was 82 and used to walk a mile every night until he slipped one rainy evening. No injury, no broken bones, just a scare. But that was enough. He stopped going out, started spending evenings on the couch watching TV. 6 months later, he'd lost 10 pounds of muscle. His legs felt like jelly. His doctor warned him, but the damage had already begun. Walter didn't stop walking because he was weak. He became weak because he stopped walking. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore real risks. Use the handrail, wear good shoes, clear walkways, use a cane if you need one. There's a smart way to protect yourself, but there's a difference between managing risk and surrendering to it. When fear controls your movements, your body slowly forgets how to move at all. So if you've noticed you're doing less, not because you can't, but because you're afraid of what might happen, ask yourself, am I protecting myself? Or am I disappearing piece by piece? Because staying alive after 80 isn't just about avoiding a fall, it's about staying in motion. Even if it's slower, even if it takes more effort, even if you have to do it more carefully. Movement is how your body remembers it's still needed. It's how your systems stay online, how your brain stays alert, and how your heart keeps beating with purpose. If this message is landing with you, if it's making you think, comment number 2 below. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the rest of this series. Your support helps us keep making content that informs and inspires. Now let's keep going. Reason number 3, disrupted sleep from irregular light. There's a quiet little clock inside your body. It doesn't tick, but it runs everything. Your mood, your metabolism, your immune system, even how your brain repairs itself each night. After age 80, that internal clock, your circadian rhythm, gets more sensitive than ever. And one of the biggest things that throws it off? Too little light during the day, and too much at night. You might not even notice it at first. Maybe you nap more during the day, doze off in the afternoon sun, or stop going outside regularly, especially when it's cold. Then at night, the TV's still on. Lights stay bright while you read or scroll on your phone. Each one of those changes might seem harmless, but together, they confuse your body. Your system doesn't know when it's supposed to be alert and when it's supposed to rest. Natural light is the body's way of staying in rhythm. Bright morning light tells your brain, wake up, time to move, time to focus. And darkness at night? That signals melatonin, your body's natural sleep hormone, to kick in. It prepares you for deep, healing rest. But when you don't get enough light during the day, and your nights are filled with artificial brightness, the signals get scrambled. The result? You might struggle to fall asleep or wake up too early. You might sleep for 8 hours and still feel groggy. You might notice your energy dipping or your memory getting fuzzy. And over time, poor sleep does more than just make you tired. It weakens your immune system, disrupts your mood, and even increases the risk of cognitive decline. There's also vitamin D to think about. Your skin makes it from sunlight. But after 80, your ability to do that drops. So regular time outdoors becomes even more important. Without it, your bones, muscles, and immune system all take a hit. I once spoke with a woman named Helen. She was 84. She was feeling tired and disoriented for weeks. Her blood work was fine. No new medications, no diet changes. Her doctor gave her just one piece of advice. Sit by a sunny window for 20 minutes each morning. Open the blinds wide, and turn off all screens an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep improved. Her mood lifted. Her memory got sharper. It wasn't a new pill, it was light. So if you've been spending your days indoors with the curtains drawn, or your evenings filled with blue light from a phone or TV, it's time to make a small shift. Try stepping outside within an hour of waking up. Even if it's just to stand on the porch, let your body see the light. It could make all the difference. Let your eyes and your skin soak in that morning light. And when evening comes, start dimming the lights. Let your body begin to wind down. These gentle rhythms, they're not just comforting, they're survival. Because what many people don't realize is, the body doesn't only age from wear and tear, it also ages from disorganization. When your systems fall out of sync, when sleep, movement, light, and hormones stop lining up, that's when decline sets in. But here's the good news. You can restore order. By resetting your light cues, getting on a regular sleep schedule, and keeping your daily rhythm going, you're telling your body, even at 85, we're still on track. We're still in motion. We're still here. Reason 4, emotional suppression from loss and isolation. By the time you've reached your 80s, you've likely carried more loss than most younger people can imagine. A spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend, sometimes even a child. And while the world may offer polite sympathy, what's rarely acknowledged is how deeply those losses add up. Not just in memory, but in your body. Because what often happens after 80 isn't just grief. It's emotional suppression. It's the quiet habit of swallowing your pain instead of speaking it. Putting on a brave face because you think you should be used to it by now. Or because there's no one left who truly understands what you've lost. But here's the truth. The body doesn't forget. When grief isn't processed, when it isn't spoken, shared, or felt, it doesn't disappear. It gets stored, and over time, that emotional weight turns physical. It starts to wear down your immune system, disrupts your digestion, ruins your sleep. It alters your hormones and puts your nervous system in a quiet state of tension. And the hardest part? It happens silently. On the outside, you might seem fine. But if your shoulders feel a little heavier, if your breathing's just a bit shallower, if the light inside you is dimmed, grief might be the reason. Even if you haven't spoken about it in years. I remember a man named George, 86. He lost his wife of 60 years. Said he didn't cry. Not his way. Said he was doing all right. But within a year, he'd lost weight, stopped going to the senior center, started having trouble sleeping. Not because of a new illness, but because his body was carrying a sorrow it was never allowed to release. Emotional pain doesn't have to be dramatic to be damaging. And by the time it shows up in your health, you may not even realize where it came from. What keeps people alive well into their 80s and 90s isn't just physical strength, it's emotional ventilation. It's having safe places to say, I miss her, I still feel angry, I'm lonely, and not be judged for it. That kind of release. That's what lets the heart breathe again. And when the heart can breathe, the body can heal. People who live long tend to have some kind of outlet. A trusted friend, a journal, a prayer group, a therapist. Someone or something that helps them unpack the stories they've carried for decades. Because what gets expressed can be transformed, but what gets buried ferments. So if you've been holding something in, not because you want to, but because you didn't know where to put it, maybe it's time to make space. Not just for your emotions, but for your life. Because here's the thing. The heart can only carry so much before it starts to quietly shut down. And if you want to make it well past 80, not just breathing, but alive, you have to let it feel too.
If you're still watching and this message is resonating, please comment number 4 below so I know you're here. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us keep making meaningful content that informs and inspires. Now let's move forward. Reason number 5, gradual loss of daily purpose. Daily purpose, not some grand philosophical mission, but the simple kind. The kind that gets you out of bed in the morning. It might be watering the garden, feeding the neighborhood cat, fixing the squeaky hinge on the back gate, writing a birthday card to your granddaughter. Tiny routines that say, this day has a shape. This day belongs to me. But when those routines start to slip, when mornings come with no reason to rise, and evenings fall without anything worth reflecting on, something inside starts to go quiet. Because the body listens to the mind. And when the mind no longer sees a reason to push forward, the body follows. Appetite fades, movement slows, sleep patterns unravel. Not because the body is broken, but because it's waiting for a reason to turn back on. It's easy to miss because it happens slowly. Maybe your weekly bridge game was canceled, the church group disbanded, your kids visit less often, your old volunteer role ended when your knees gave out, and you tell yourself, it's just aging. But deep down, you feel it. The days start to blend together, each one a little quieter than the last. I once met a woman named Ruth, 88. She wasn't rich. She wasn't in perfect health. She didn't have a big family around her. But she had something powerful. Routine. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins from her church. Every Thursday, she made soup to freeze for the local shelter. Every afternoon, around 4 o'clock, she sat at her window and waved to the neighborhood kids walking home from school. She knew their names. They knew hers. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave her days texture. It gave her heart rhythm. It gave her life continuity. And that's the secret no one talks about. The body stays alive. As long as it believes, it's needed. Purpose, even the tiniest kind, is like fuel. It tells your cells to keep repairing, your organs to keep functioning, your brain to keep learning. But when you feel like you no longer matter, when it seems like nothing depends on your presence, that flame starts to dim. People who thrive well into their 80s and 90s, they usually have something anchoring their day. A garden, a Peter, a journal, a morning prayer, a phone call. Something consistent. Something that says, today has meaning. So if you've been feeling a little adrift, like your days have lost shape, don't brush it off. It's not just sadness. That's a signal. Your body's asking for rhythm again, for connection, for purpose. Because in the end, longevity isn't just about the heart beating. It's about the heart wanting to beat. And that quiet desire to keep going, to stay connected, to still matter. That's what carries people past 80 and into lives that still feel full. Final thoughts, and as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a simple truth. Most people don't fade after 80 because of one big event. It's not a fall, or a diagnosis, or a birthday. It's the slow, quiet fading of daily habits, of rhythm, of reason. And often, it happens so gradually, you don't even notice. Until something inside feels dimmer than it used to. But here's the good news. Just as decline happens slowly, so does recovery. One short walk, one meaningful conversation, one stretch in the morning, one reason to get dressed and step outside. You don't need a full plan. Just one action today that brings a little structure, a little connection, a little spark. So think back. Which of these 5 reasons surprised you? Which one felt uncomfortably familiar? And most importantly, which one are you willing to act on, even in a small way, starting today? Because the truth is, you have more power than you think. Not to stop aging, but to change the way you age. And if you're willing to stay awake to the quiet shifts, to guard your rhythms, to protect your purpose, and to let yourself feel what needs to be felt, then there's a good chance you won't just reach 80. You'll live beyond it, fully, deeply, on your terms. Thank you for spending this time with us. If something in this video spoke to you, leave a comment and share one insight you're taking with you and how you might use it in your life. Your voice matters to us. We read every comment, and it keeps us going. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep making content that informs and inspires. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.